18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. To go ahead and get rid of the elephant in the room, I did shave part of my hair off. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Danny Taylor, and today we are going to be having just a bit of a chit chat. This is going to be a mini series. I might end up continuing, I don't know. You're welcome to throw your questions in down below to give me ideas of what you really want to hear about. But I wanted to start something as like advice from a hairstylist. So if you don't know, I have been a hairstylist for, how old am I? I'm almost 25, so this year will be 7 years as a licensed hairstylist. So total about 9 years educating myself in hair and practicing it. I think today I just want to have some generic rules for hair and how to maintain healthy hair, and just a few other helpful hints that I think need to be out there in the world. Also another disclaimer, every hairstylist has their own things that they consider fact. We all go to school and learn some of the same things, but as you practice you learn new things, and it's a science that is constantly changing. So don't take mine as the Bible. This is a generic rule, and then please have a conversation with your personal hairstylist to see how they see that information fits best for you, what's going to work best in your life and your hair's case. Every hair texture is different. I'm going to start with one that I know well, at least for myself, not only on clients but with my own personal hair. Obviously I don't go for natural colors. I've had lots of experience with fashion colors on both myself and doing fashion colors on clients. So one of my biggest rules when you have fashion color is just steady maintenance of hair color. One, I live off of dry shampoo. If you shampoo it all the time, it's going to pull your color out, especially those fashion colors, because they're pretty much a coating on the outside of the hair. They're not in there like permanent pigment is. Dry shampoo is going to help keep the hair vibrant, so you're not shampooing it as much. It's going to keep the oils out of there, so you're not having to shampoo it as much, so you can keep your color longer. Another note for those that want to have fashion hair colors: when you are shampooing your hair, it is best to be using cold or as cool as you can stand it water on your hair. That is going to help keep the cuticle closed, so all the pigments can't be coming out as easily. If you're using warm water, it's going to open up the cuticle, letting all of that pigment come out when you shampoo it. Now, if you feel like you need to have warm water for your conditioner, you can bump it up just a little bit so it'll open that cuticle and allow in that conditioner, but you don't want to go scalding hot, because that's going to blow that cuticle right open, and even though you're not using shampoo, it can still pull it out. Speaking of dry shampoo, I also want to make a note about those that have oily hair, especially if you're one of those that feel like you need to shampoo every single day. Fun fact, by shampooing your hair every single day, you are telling your scalp that you're not producing enough oil. Thus, you're overacting your sebaceous glands. They're putting out more oil. That's why you're having oily issues most of the time. Now, this is not a rule for everybody. Some people are just born with more oily hair. If you came out the womb that way, dry shampoo is still going to help you, but this is not going to be the be-all end-all rule for you. However, if you're shampooing your hair every day, especially if you have more fine hair and you feel like the oils just show up a little faster, try dry shampoo. If you start with shampooing your hair maybe once every other day, you'll be giving your hair time to learn that I don't actually need to produce this much oil, I've got plenty. If you do feel like you have a lot of oil sitting at the scalp or whatever, you can use a dry shampoo to take out the oil. That's what it's meant to do. Another thing I see very common, especially in the South since it's a little more hot here, ponytails are common. I get it, you want your hair off your neck. There are days when I'm working in the salon and it is so hot, I have to clip it up because I just can't stand it. However, if you're one of those that slaps your ponytail up at the top part of your crown every single day, you're using the classic elastics, the rubber band ones or the ones that are covered in the cloth, either way, that is still a form of elastic. What that is doing is each time you're pulling your hair back, this tight elastic is holding that hair and weakening it. So if you're putting it in that same spot every single day or every time you pull your hair up, you are constantly weakening that part of the cuticle until eventually it snaps and you have breakage. My number one rule is if you have to wear ponytails, I know like nurses, if you work in the food industry, things like that, you have to have your hair out of the way. That's fine and dandy. Change the position. So one day you wear a really high ponytail, the next day wear it mid-level, the next day you can wear it all the way at the base of your neck. Just keep it moving, so not every single day you're putting it in that same exact spot, because that is what causes a lot of the weakness in your hair and then eventually breakage. Another note on breakage is a lot of time it is from heat styling. If you are constantly straightening it, curling it, whatever you are doing with a heat styling tool. One, you need to be making sure that you are keeping your heat as low as you possibly can. If you have one of those flat irons that's just on and off, more than likely like a Chi, those are based at like 400 or 450 degrees. You can bake a potato with 450 degrees. That does not need to be going on your hair. My curling iron stays at the lowest setting it can possibly go on, which is 250. Even if you have thick hair, you might have to take smaller sections, or you might have to work slower with the iron, but you do not have to bump it up to 400 plus degrees to get it to do what you need it to do. You also need to be using a heat protectant for each heat application to make sure that you're creating some kind of coating on the outside of the cuticle to not let that heat go quite as deep and be doing as much damage. Another thing is we want to like do those fast passes with the flat iron, and every time you fast pass it, more than likely you're twisting the hair at a weird angle or pulling it a little too fast. So when you're pulling it too quickly, especially with something that's very hot, you're singeing it and snapping it. That leads me to my next point. If you're wanting to grow your hair out, avoiding the hairdresser for a year or 2 or 3 years is not the way to go. I know you think if I'm not getting it cut, then it's just going to be growing, it'll become Rapunzel hair in a year or 2, but sweetie, I'm sorry, that's not how it works. Now, if you're not using any heat at all on your hair, you're not doing anything damaging, you're not coloring it, you just let it go natural every single day, maybe you can get some growth. Anything having to do with your hair, laying on a pillow if it's not silk cased, putting it in a ponytail, anything like that can roughen up the cuticle, even if you're not one that wears some kind of heat styling in your hair every day. Even when you're going as gentle as possible on your hair, you can still be damaging it every single day. By not seeing the hairdresser but once a year is not good. My general rule is if you are maintaining the current length of your hair, you should be here every 4 to 6 weeks. If you are just doing general maintenance but you want it to grow slightly, about every 6 weeks is good, because your hair typically grows half an inch a month. 6 weeks is a little over a month, so that way as long as you're cutting half an inch or less off of your hair for your regular trims, you should still be seeing growth. The farthest I will let typically my clients go in between appointments for haircuts is 8 to 10 weeks. And that's pushing it, because a lot of damage can happen in that 2 months to 2 months and a half. 8 weeks is my growing stage. That is what I allow for the guests that want to grow their hair, but we still need to keep it healthy. Because at least if we trim off that bottom edge and we get at least the minimum amount of dead ends and split ends off, it's going to have a better chance of growing. If you have those split ends, it's just going to keep snapping every time you do anything with it. When you put it in a ponytail, when you straighten it, when you curl it, anything that you can do to your hair that could be causing tension, that's going to destroy it. So be getting a regular haircut. It may seem scary, it may seem counterproductive, but I promise it's going to help. Now, there is a ton of advice that I can give. I can go on for hours about hair and telling you about what you probably need to be doing with your hair, but this is just to kind of scratch the surface with some of the questions that I get the most, some of the problems that I see the most often that sit in my chair. So I just wanted to kind of do an umbrella of problems you may be experiencing and do my best to help you. Of course, if you have any questions about specific topics, if you want me to go deeper into a certain thing like heat styling, fashion colors, things like that, please leave any questions you have down below if they are hair related. I will be glad to make another video for this series to go ahead and give you some more of my information that might help you along. I will be sure to include them and try to help you guys out. But until then, I will see you guys in my next video next Saturday. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.